this idea of consensus. It seems that everybody wants to say that there's 100% consensus about just about everything that has to do with COVID-19 in the medical community. And that's not true. At least I don't think it's true. So that's why I want to get your thoughts on it, your idea, especially regarding this idea of returning to normalcy, of opening states back up for commerce, et cetera. How do you view as a member of the medical community, and is there dissension within the medical community about some of the restrictions and measures that are being taken and being bandied about?
Returning to work and returning to a normal life is not a medical decision. That's a political and cultural and social decision. Because from the medical perspective, if you want to be perfectly safe and not die until you die of a heart attack at 92 in your bed, then never leave your room. Except to go to the doctor, and never get on the highway, and never take a flight or go out and play in the waves at the beach. So staying safe might be a way to prolong your life, but that's not what we do as human beings. We live in a world that is, by its nature, very dangerous. When we get in a car and drive 95 miles an hour, that's a very dangerous act. So, but that's something we choose. These are not medical decisions. Is it safe to go outside under COVID? No, but it's never safe to go outside. So it's not medical. This is a question of, is it good for us as a country, as a world, to be so afraid of COVID that we then sink our economy and have famines? Or is it better to take on that fear, go out and live in a world where COVID is endemic, but people aren't dying of delayed medical care, hunger, and all the suicide and all the other social dysfunctions which are going to be exacerbated. Okay,
I want to say something that I believe is truth, and this is just something that you're not hearing from I think any quarters anywhere, and you just alluded to it. You just put it very, very well in this. Life is a risk. And, we hear, Gracie, when, for instance, at the press conferences and everything, and people say things like, well, one death is too many. Okay. On one level, we know that's true, and the life of every human being is sacred. But as you said, we live with risk every day, and there must come a point where we have to be comfortable with a certain mortality rate when it comes to COVID-19 or anything else for that matter. And that doesn't seem to be something, it's not politically correct to say that right now. The politically correct thing to say is that one death is too many. And as you said, that means that we can't live life. There is inherent risk involved with life. So when we hear about this idea, Gracie, of flattening the curve, et cetera, is there a point where where our leaders would say, well, look, we have to be comfortable with a mortality rate of X, Y, or Z, or is that something that no one is ever going to talk about?
Politicians, who are the ones who have to make this decision, have to be pressured into being brave, because they're taking their political life in their hands. If you say, Americans, go outside, within 30 seconds, some American is going to die of COVID, right? Mm-hmm. That death will be hung around the neck of that politician. So it takes a lot of bravery to go to that next step. But I'm very sure that the American people are going to demand that kind of bravery from their politicians, because the American people are living the consequences of the lockdown, and the consequences of the lockdown are dire. And in my opinion, might be a lot worse than even some worst case scenarios of COVID as far as mortality and morbidity of the American people.
Dr. Grace.